Welcome everybody to our webinar today. I'm really excited to talk with you today about how to unblock your blocked or suspended Google Merchant Centers. And I'm really thrilled because we've got a special guest today, Andre, CTO and founder of Dantoa, who joins us straight from Dantoa's headquarters in Prague. Andre has personally unblocked over 300 suspended Google Merchant Centers and most likely prevented the suspension of as many merchant centers. He knows GMC suspensions inside out like nobody else. So it's really an honor to have you, Andre. Hi.
Hi. Glad to be here.
Yes, cool. And obviously, I'm very grateful that you all are tuning in and listening in, irrespectively whether you're listening live or whether you're listening to the recording. And I'm really happy and grateful that you take time in your busy schedules to learn more about Google Shopping and merchant centers to become even greater online marketers. I hope that you can all see me and hear me. Please drop a thumbs up in the comment section or post if anything doesn't work. Today, I will interview Andre about best practices, how to unblock suspended merchant centers, and how to prevent these nasty suspensions in the first place, right? Obviously, I'll try to get as much information out of Andre as possible so that you can then use this for your own means. This content is highly relevant for anybody working with Google Shopping ads, no matter if you're an agency, a merchant, or even a dropshipper, right? And Andre and me, we are also joined by David from Adstrong, who you cannot see, but he's here and he will take care of the comment section and of the chat. So feel free to post any questions or remarks you might have as comments so that we ideally have some questions posted once the Q&A session starts. So without further ado, let's get started and take a look at today's agenda. So we'll start with a short introduction by Andre and me, and then I'll interview our expert on the following topics. First, what high-level categories of suspension reasons are there? And then how to deal with each suspension reason, especially focusing on misrepresentation and website needs improvement, since they are the most complex ones. Then we'll talk about how to prevent suspensions in the first place, how to best deal or not to deal with Google support, and then we will debunk the most common myths and misconceptions about GMC suspensions. And lastly, Andre will talk about his Google Merchant Center unblocked service. And hopefully we should have about 10-15 minutes left for questions and answers. And we have prepared the slides in a way that they also serve as reference material for you to see all the instructions and the tips of Andre, and that you can come back to the slide or to this presentation whenever you need it to solve your problems. So Andre, it's great to have you. Please tell us a little bit more about Dantoa.
Gladly. Okay, so we have been active on the market for about 10 years. We are a Czech digital agency based in Prague. I am one of the two founders. Currently, we have a team of 14 people working for us, and we mostly focus on performance campaigns for e-commerce stores. Next slide, please. Right now, we're managing roughly 3 million euros in annual budget, so we're quite a small company, and I must say I actually prefer it that way. And most of the time we've been active, we've been very local, so Czech clients, and that was it. However, this entire thing with the GMC and suspensions allowed us to acquire several clients from abroad as well, and it's been steadily growing ever since.
Cool, awesome. Thank you, Andre. A little bit about me and about Adstrong. I'm Ingmar. From the background, I'm a computer scientist, and I worked for a couple of years for McKinsey & Company. And since 2007, 2008, I'm active as an internet entrepreneur. I founded, invested, and sold several startups. Amongst others, I founded a rather large price comparison portal around 10-15 years ago. We were a pure search engine advertising player with 7-digit monthly ad spends on Google, active all over the world. And I was personally involved in the legal claims that price comparison companies did against Google, because Google was basically abusing its market dominance. And as you might know, these legal claims have led to the CSS program as it is here today. So I have known the CSS program and its birth history quite intimately. And since the CSS program is out there, we have founded adstrong. So adstrong is one of the biggest CSS providers in the world with over 7,000 merchant centers in its own ecosystem. But what we are really focusing on and where we are unique is we are the leading white label CSS provider. So somewhere between 15 and 20% of all the CSSs in the world are basically run by us. And that's also how I know Andre from Dantoa, because Dantoa is using our white label CSS solution. And what we are doing is we focus on turnkey ready solutions with great support to help our partners grow and get most out of the Google CSS program. And we are not talking about the CSS program today. And I guess that everybody knows the Google CSS program. But if you don't, just very briefly, make sure to check out our website. Basically, it's a special program by Google that only works in Europe, and it will increase your effective Google Shopping ad budgets without you having to pay more. And while most advertisers are using the CSS program to get a better ROAS with Google Shopping ads, most are missing out on the massive benefits that Google offers to the CSS providers themselves. They get like massive visibility, extra free traffic, and additional direct Google support. We won't cover these topics today, so make sure to check out our website to learn more about our white label CSS solution, especially if you're having more than 10,000 euros of monthly ad spend on Google Shopping, then it really makes sense. And to finish the introduction, who we're working with, I mean, we have roughly 3-digit white label CSS customers who have then 4-digit merchant centers in the white label ecosystem. And some of our clients are even CSS partners or Google CSS premium partners. Our customers are agencies, tool providers, brands, and shops. And we are active throughout Europe with a focus on the DACH region. So that was as much as you can hear about me today, because the rest of the content won't be about me. It will be about Andre and how you will be able to unblock Google Merchant Centers. So, Andre, let's start with the interview. Please give us a rough overview of the matter. What kind of suspensions are there, or what kind of suspensions do you differentiate?
Sure, let's dive right into it. There are 3 major categories of these suspension reasons. And the first one is the worst news you can receive. That's what I call unfixable ones. Generally, when you receive this message, there is nothing you can do. There is no way how to trick Google, and you need to go ahead and remove the products that are triggering suspension. These are listed in the prohibited content in the Google Ads, the appropriate Google Merchant Help article. And as I said, as long as you have these on your store and in your feed, you will be unable to run shopping ads. Technically speaking, you might be able to get, 14 days in if you create a new GMC and until they spot you again, but it's not really something you would want to do long term.
Yes.
Moving on to the second category, those are at the other end of the spectrum, and those are the easy suspension reasons. First of all, they usually appear at first as a warning in your account, so you're not outright suspended. And here, if you do exactly what they tell you to do, you should be good. Most common examples are, let's say, price mismatch, so that the price in your product data is different than the one the robot found on your website. And the other quite common example is mismatching shipping costs. So again, what you say on your product data is different than what you say on the website. Generally, when you receive a warning, you get roughly, 4 to 6 weeks to deal with the issue. And this suspension category is also the only one that it makes sense to contact Google support. More on that later. And moving on to the stars of today's show. Those are what I call the ambiguous reasons, and that's the misrepresentation and the website disimprovement. Why ambiguous, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple. When you contact support about this, they'll use the gray rock technique and basically link you the help article, tell you to read it and stop bothering them. And if you actually go ahead and read the article, there are several key components missing that you need to know and that you need to implement in order to be able to get your account approved again. Generally, this is what most people struggle with, and this is the issue that people, without help from us, for example, can take months to overcome, which is quite serious because, as we know, shopping ads are the usually the life and blood of your online store. Okay, so a lot of people contacted us regarding suspension are dropshippers, and there's an ongoing debate in the online space that dropshippers somehow are not liked by Google, and there's a penalty imposed on them, something of the sort. And from our experience, no, absolutely not. The main problem dropshippers have is that they put very little effort into their sites because they're all about the quick money and whatnot. And the problem with their sites is that they have templated policies and like incorrect links, and they sometimes the content email is to a completely different website, so stuff like that. And that's why they get struck with misrepresentation more often than the regular vendors. So
I
no,
see.
no hidden penalty.
Yep. Okay. Basically, you differentiate among like three categories that reflect the solvability of the suspension
Yes.
reasons, like strict, easy, and ambiguous. And each needs a different approach. And dropshippers are treated as anybody else, but due to the business model, they might fall into the trap more often. So
Pretty
let's say
much.
my account is suspended. What should I do?
Okay, so the first thing you should do is to come back to this presentation and figure out into which category your suspension reason falls. As mentioned, if it's a fixable one, you need to go ahead and remove the products. If it's the easy one, just go ahead, do what they tell you to do. And if it's misrepresentation or website disimprovement, you're in for quite a treat. The first thing you should avoid is to just hit the review button out of rage while yelling, "What do you mean? I don't break any policy. Like, what is this?" Because if you do that, there are very high chances you just wasted one of the two reviews available to you until you hit the cooldown period. Whenever you get one of these two suspensions, be it misrep or website disimprovement, there are usually actually quantifiable and identifiable reasons why this happened. And if you do not fix them, obviously the review will not work. What's a cooldown period, you might ask? That's something rather new, I'd say 6 to 9 months old, which what Google implemented. And that's if you use 2 reviews in your account, neither of them successful, you'll then enter a cooldown period of 1 week before Google graciously allows you to request a review again. And if you fail again, it can be 2 weeks or it can even be a month. So good times.
Okay, so basically, I guess suspension. First, let's see what's going on, right? Is it something that is the strict reasons, right? They're unfixable. Okay, I have to remove the product. If it's the easy ones, I can get in touch with Google support and work on getting it. But if I see, oh, this falls in the ambiguous misrepresentation, website needs improvement bucket, then don't reach out to Google support directly. Don't request the review. Really see what's going on. And that's what we will now basically do. So let's take a look at the 2 tough nuts, misrepresentation and website needs improvement. And let's start with misrepresentation, how to get this one solved.
Okay, so entering the realm of nightmares for some. Generally, there are 3 sections you need to focus on when you're trying to deal with this threat. One is the GMC, so what info you have there. 2 is website content, mostly focused on policies and what links lead where, and whether your identity is clear, and many other things. And 3rd, most often overlooked, I might add, is the website speed / technical health. For example, Google has a rule that your website needs to be able to load from anywhere in the world. So that includes Seoul, Beijing, Auckland, for Europeans, exotic places like that. And from anywhere in the world, it just needs to be able to load in under 3 seconds. We have more information on each of those in the following slide. So
okay,
go right into it.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at the GMC settings.
Sure. So this one is actually very easy to fix, and usually it takes me and my team roughly 5 minutes to set this straight. All you need to do in the GMC settings is to look at business info, shipping, and return policy, and make sure that the information you have there exactly reflects what you have on the site. So we're talking about same formatting of the phone number, same formatting of the address. Make sure that your store name is mentioned in the business info as well as on the site. In the shipping, make sure that you include the mandatory settings, that being the order cutoff time, order handling, order transit, obviously the shipping price. And sometimes people think that the return policy in GMC is optional. It is not. It is mandatory. So make sure that you also enter it there. As I said, this is by far the easiest thing to get right. So
Okay.
where it gets really interesting is the website content.
Now let's look at this one.
Indeed. So again, there are several key areas that you need to pay attention to, and what's most commonly the biggest thing that's the issue is templated policies. Again, circling back to the dropshippers, you cannot just go and Control C and Control V some policies from another store, or use services like Termly to just generate policies. You need to take your time, really sit down, think about it, and invest the hour or two and write your policies so that they're unique to your store and that they reflect your store and your conditions. Then the third part are the website speed and technical settings. I've included a few tools that I have figured out Google uses to actually check. One of them is Uptrends. If you just enter your URL there, you'll be able to see the loading times from different parts of the world. And perhaps the most important one is the Page Speed Insight tool. If you enter your URL there, you'll get quite a detailed analysis. And for these approval purposes, be it misrep or seconds improvement, you should get a score of 90 and the page speed index again at least under 3 seconds. And then there are some other things, like for example, Google is very adamant that your site should have no 404 errors at all.
Cool. I mean, so basically, thanks for providing like a clear overview on how to tackle misrepresentation. If I understood you correctly, it's really about consistency. So you have to make sure down to the smallest detail that what's on the website and what's in the merchant center is the same, right? And on top of that, you have to make sure that the technical prerequisites are all fulfilled. So if you put it like this, I think it looks solvable, and it's also a clear instruction for anybody who's struggling with the matter to really follow this instruction to get to the solution. So let's take a look at the second nasty issue. Is website needs improvement. What can you tell us about this one?
Sure. So if you don't know what to do, this is actually even more ambiguous than misrep. Usually, it's what I used to say is that it's either very easy to solve or nearly impossible to solve. Right now, I say it's just easy to solve if you know what to do. So at first, you need to have a look at your site and make sure that there are no broken links and that you don't use placeholder images, and basically just follow what the suspension message says. And then, if this is in order, you go ahead and enter your URL in the Page Speed Insights tool. And once you fix the issues with the loading and the clutch JavaScript and stuff like that, I haven't had a failed review since. So, yeah, there we go.
Okay, so that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing. So now we've taken a look at the different suspension reasons and suspension categories, how to tackle them, how to solve them, and so on. Now, is there a relevant difference between unblocking a suspended Google Merchant Center and preventing the suspension in the first place?
I'm very glad you asked that, because the answer is quite simple. It is not. Whenever an account is suspended and people come to us, what we do is that we try to make the GMC and the website compliant with the Google policies. And obviously, if your account is not suspended, but you go ahead and make it more compliant with Google policies, that can hurt, can it?
Yeah, definitely. So generally, now to sum it up where we're right now, we understand what categories are there. We understand how to deal with them. And it seems to me that you need, even though the instructions are quite clear now that you've laid them out, you need quite some persistence in solving some of the suspension reasons, because there's a lot of work to do, but also Google is not 100% clear in many cases. And that's also why people struggle and suffer. And what I know from experience in many things, not only suspended Google Merchant Centers, but in many other places too, is that in some cases you're really dependent on Google support. So sometimes it seems like they're the only lifeline for you to get something solved. But with Google policy, with Google Merchant Center suspensions, it tends to be different. So what's the best way to deal with Google support or to not deal with Google support when it comes down to blocked Google Merchant Centers?
Well, we've actually prepared a very easy flow chart to describe when you should use and should not use Google support. Generally speaking, just contact them about the easy reasons, because then they are actually very helpful, and it's they can also confirm that you have fixed the issue if there's a review button in your account. So yeah, if it's one of the easy reasons, sure, go ahead, talk to support, that can help. But anything other is point blank waste of time.
Okay, I haven't expected this, or I guess many of our viewers haven't expected this, that Google support is not basically really helpful in many situations. So thank you for this information. I got the feedback from our white label CSS customers that having your own CSS really helps when it comes down to getting Google Merchant Centers unblocked. So before we look into the myths and misconceptions surrounding suspended merchant centers, I'd like to mention that feedback I got from our customers, how your own white label CSS helps when you have suspended merchant centers that you need to get unblocked, right? So sure. There are three things that I would like to mention, or I'd like to mention or explain from my limited experience. So first of all, you can easily set up new merchant centers in your CSS. This is basically done with one click. There's no need to claim or verify the domain. So the whole process of setting up a new merchant center for any domain is much simpler and quicker, right? And you also don't have to fill in the, or let's say you have to fill in less information in the merchant center if it's created within a CSS. Amongst others, you don't have to fill in the country field. So there's less data that might be conflicting with data on the website. So there's less conflict potential with regards to misrepresentation, right? But the biggest difference that I seem to have heard about, and I'm curious about your opinion, is that there seems to be either a different process at Google for merchant centers in the CSS or for merchant centers with Google, or there's a different team dealing with unblocking merchant centers in CSSs or merchant centers with Google, right? And the CSS team or process is much less strict than the Google CSS, than the Google Merchant Center team or process. So the general experience is that if the merchant center is in the CSS, the unblocking will just be easier and will be successful with a higher probability. So you're using our white label CSS solution. You have unblocked merchant centers for a long time. Can you confirm this? What's your take on this?
It's going to be absolute hearsay, because obviously there's no way to actually confirm this unless you get lucky and corner some GMC representative in the pub. But yes, from my experience, that's exactly it. What we do is that we usually start the unsuspension process on the standard Google CSS. But if we get stuck with it, though, if we do the first or second round of changes and still nothing, what we do is that we switch the next account to a different CSS other than Google. And like, again, not every time, but that's to help and that's to actually accurate the account.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, we are at adstrong regularly contacted by people who have their merchant center suspended, and then they ask, "Oh, can you unblock it for us?" Obviously, the answer is no. This is not what we do. But we are also regularly approached but I tend to hear all kinds of background stories about the reasons why it is suspended and what can be done and so on. And I'm pretty sure, since there's like very mixed knowledge out there, and there's sometimes really missing transparency around the suspension, I'm pretty sure that not all the reasons might be true. And so I'm really happy to now dive into the next topic, with this, which is misconceptions and myths that are surrounding the Google Merchant Center suspensions. So, as being an expert, Andre, please tell us about the most common misconceptions or myths surrounding Google Merchant Center suspensions.
Sure. So we've seen many accounts. We've spoken to many people about this. And I must say, whenever a client comes and he has a certain idea of what's wrong, that raises a bit of an alarm bell because I know that it's going to be difficult to talk about it. However, we've put together a short list of 5 things that people mention most often, and let's just dive right into those. So, number 1, and I must say that's quite popular, is that next slide, please. Number 1 is that the product level issues, most commonly, I'd say, missing GTIN identifier or stuff like that, are actually relevant and contributing to the account suspension. No, not at all. There's a small exception with the unfixable category. So if you sell some sort of supplements that are actually forbidden by Google, yes, that's a product error. Yes, you need to remove it. But if we're talking about the regular stuff, like, I don't know, clothing or gadgets or whatever have you, you need to deal with product issues later, because they will impact the performance of your campaign, sure. But when it comes to the account level suspension, don't waste time, focus on something else.
Okay, so just to be sure that people understand it, so product errors are completely irrelevant to account level suspensions. That's the truth, and most people believe they are relevant, or not most, some waste time there. Well, that's helpful. Let's jump to the next one.
Okay, so this I was looking forward to, because it's probably the most controversial thing I'm going to say today. It has been proven on many cases and many times that you can easily avoid cooldown periods completely if you just properly delete the account using the steps I've outlined here and create a new one. A lot of people, when we tell them this, they look at us like deer in headlights, because it doesn't really make sense, and I completely agree. But my job here is not to try to make sense of things. My job here is to get the account approved. So we know this works, use it, and it obviously significantly cuts down the time that you need to get the account approved, if you don't have to sit on your hands for weeks or even months before you get approved another review.
So you tackle the cooldown periods by deleting and recreating your accounts, and there's no penalty around it. Boom.
Indeed.
That helps. Next one.
Okay. Also, sometimes people, especially people suffering from this suspension for a long time, they get a bit obsessive about what the problem could be. And what we hear quite often is that the Google Ads info, or the info in the Google business, or pretty much any related Google services, should all be the same, all have the same address, same billing info, and so forth. What's true is that, yes, the info you put in the GMC needs to be the same as on the website, but that's it. One example for all is that when it comes to Google Ads, you can have an agency which actually runs the ads on your behalf, but with their billing info, and that's not a problem. So why would Google penalize you to have a different address in Google Ads when this exists and this is a proven process?
Okay, so basically the Google Ads world, or let's say the Google Ads account, is completely separated from the suspension and from the consistency requirements of the data. Okay, thanks. So next one.
Sure, we've already tackled this one, because having your website fast and sort of healthy is quite often overlooked and ignored. But we know for a fact that Google actually places great emphasis on the speed of your site. So, again, just to reiterate, make sure that you run your website through the Speed Insight tool, and make sure that it is optimized in this manner. Not only will it probably help you to get out of the suspension hole right now, but it's also a good preventive measure for the future to perhaps avoid your suspension.
Yes.
Or if you haven't been struck by suspension in the first place, but you are looking what to do to sort of fortify your GMC, this is one of the things to consider.
Yeah, because basically in the end, website technical quality does matter. Period.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Okay, and this is something that gives me the most headache, so I just had to include it. Whenever we solve the case and get the GMC approved, people obviously get ecstatic, and some make a very costly mistake of thinking that once you get approved, you are approved forever. It's a get out of jail free card. I don't have to worry about this anymore. No, actually, it's quite the opposite. Which is why we've actually went ahead and created a PDF called GMC Aftercare, in which we outline what you cannot do at all, what you can do, but very carefully, and what you can do, and it has no impact on the approval. So what I like to tell people after they calm down a bit and the adrenaline wears off is that this is just the first step on a very long journey to actually have a long-standing successful Google shopping campaign.
Yes. So I guess that like these time frames, like 1 month and 1 week, are really important because probably there's like manual Google quality checks happening. Somebody in the policy team is taking a look at your merchant center or your website and so on to really make sure that everything goes in the right direction. And these checks can happen with quite some scrutiny. So obviously 1 week, 1 month, that's like the minimum period. Ideally, I guess it would be the best if you were always consistent and compliant, right?
Yes.
But especially after you had a suspension, you're kind of flagged, right? And there you have to be extra careful. That's awesome.
Sorry, one example, because if you ignore the website speed, you may get approved for misrepresentation, but then 1 week goes by, some guy comes to check you, he simply runs your site to the Defeat site, sees it sucks, and he'll get started with the website misrepresentation instead.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for sharing and thanks for laying out these instructions. I hope that everybody who's participating and viewing this webinar now has a pretty good idea on how to tackle your blocked Google Merchant Centers or on what to pay attention that they don't get blocked and how you can be policy compliant at all the times. As stated before, and as you've seen in the content, it can require quite some work and quite some persistency that many people don't have, right? Because you have to take care of your other business and so on. And then taking care of this is just probably not on top of your priority list. So as far as I know, Andre, you or one of your companies offers a service to unblock suspended Google Merchant Centers. How does this work?
Sure. In essence, it's quite simple. You give us access to your GMC and also to your website, and then you can basically forget about everything and let us take care of it. This is a proven process because sometimes people hesitate to give us access to the site or something, but the less involved you are, the faster usually you get the result. Usually it takes 1 to 3 weeks to get you approved. It's not really a factor how long have you started, whether it's been 1 week or 7 months. This is the average time frame. And when it comes to payment, we have a 100% success-based fee with no upfront payment, meaning when we approve your account, we also add additional guarantees that you upload the products you actually want to advertise, and the campaign, be it PMX or shipping ads campaign, runs without issues for 14 days, because sometimes some resuspension shenanigans happen. And generally, even after we approve you, you're going to get the document I mentioned, outlining what you should actually do with the GMC. And in the future, if you get suspended, we usually have just one quick look to see what the issue is, and perhaps give you a discounted price if you haven't broken any of the don't touch list. The core of our service, what we offer, is that you get copywriting, webmaster, a bit of legal, and obviously the GMC and suspension all in one. So we can be quite more expensive than some dudes from Fiverr, but our results actually speak for ourselves. And as a bit of a thank you for watching this content, be it again live or from a recording, if you come to us and use the keyword adstrong, we'll be able to knock 50% off from your price.
Cool. Thank you, Andre. I can just say from personal experience, I have sent many agencies and shops to Andre, Dantour, and Unblocked Heroes, who had blocked our merchant centers and whom we cannot help. And everybody was happy with Andre and with Dantour and Unblocked Heroes. So make sure to reach out to him if this is relevant to you, right? Because you don't have the time or the resources or the focus or whatever, or you don't want to take care of this tedious process that you might need to take care of to get your merchant center unblocked. So make sure to reach out to Andre if this is relevant to you. And before we jump to the Q&A section, I also want to let you know when it makes sense for you to reach out to me, because we haven't talked about me and my service. So before we move to Q&A, when does it make sense to reach out to Ingmar, right? Basically, if you're interested in your own CSS and if you want to see your brand in the buy CSS link and get the free buy CSS traffic to your site, make sure, wrong one. One slide's missing, sorry. Make sure to reach out to me, irrespective if you're an agency or an online shop or if you're a dropshipper. Everybody who spends at least 10K a month on Google Shopping will massively benefit from his or her own white label CSS solution, right? Your brand is shown in the buy CSS link, so you have a Google Shopping ad. On the top, you have the image, right? And then title and the price. The shop name is barely visible in light gray. And at the bottom of the ad, where you might expect the shop name, there's not the shop name. No, there's the CSS name. It says by Google or by adstrong or by Dantour, something like this. And there we put your brand, right? So this is massive branding. Depending on your ad spend, it's millions or billions of free brand impressions. It will increase if you're an online shop who has its own CSS. So you put your shop brand down there. It will increase your CTR. And if you're an agency, this link will basically generate inbound leads and really also improve the sales rate or the conversion rates for your agency, because you just can increase the renown that you have. Obviously, the link, this buy CSS link in the bottom of the shopping ad, delivers free traffic, right? If somebody clicks on the link, this doesn't cost money. Is not attributed to the Google Ads campaign. It's basically a free link that doesn't lead to the target of the ad, but it basically leads to the CSS site, right? And on this CSS site, this is then your site where your products are listed, or if you're an agency, it's the products of your clients. And basically, you get all this free traffic instead of wasting it to some other party who is most of the time showing products of your competition. So I invite everybody of you to check out your own Google Shopping ads, click on the buy CSS link, take a look at the landing page, and you will be astonished because you will only find competitor products on these landing pages, not your own ones. And that's what you can completely solve with your own CSS. Next part, obviously, is extra empowerment by Google, direct Google CSS support, exclusive resource and feature that Google only offers to CSS providers. And most importantly, probably, you get the classic CSS benefit of up to 20-25% wherever it is that you would get in any CSS. Obviously, this is included in your own CSS. And if you ever happen to have a blocked Google Merchant Center, then you even have an easier time getting it unblocked. So in a nutshell, that's why basically many agencies and brands and shops and drop shippers are using our white label CSS solution to get their shopping ads on the next level and to just get more out of the Google of Google Shopping ads in general as a growth motor for the company. So now that concludes today's content. Boom. Was a lot of content. I was quick. Andre and me are quick talkers. I'm pretty sorry about this. We always try to slow down. I hope you were able to follow us. And now let's move on to the Q&A session. So please, anybody post into the comment sections any questions that you might have. David has already written that he has a couple of questions that were sent directly to him. So David, feel free to post the questions here in the stream chat. I read the question out loud. So question to Andre. Number 1, can products in categories like alcoholic beverages, adult, etc. lead to account suspension? What can we do to make GMC account work with these categories?
Okay, adult, no. Beverages depend on which country you're targeting, because there are countries where alcoholic beverages are falling under the prohibited content. And again, if you just read the help article, it's very clearly explained there. Generally, no, they do not lead to account suspensions unless they fall under the unfixable suspension category.
Okay.
And well, the second part of the question is kind of moot after this explanation.
Yep. I read the second question. I'm not totally sure if I understand it correctly. What do you mean with creating a non-Google store? Meaning I need to remove the offending products and create a separate store and domain to see, to the domain to these offending products are not even listed within the original store?
That's exactly what I mean, yes.
Okay. And number 3, did I understand correctly that the probation period is, David, there's something missing, but I guess the question is just cut. Maybe you have the rest of question number 3. But Andre, just revisit the probation period, and I guess if you make a short summary of the probation period, the question is most likely answered.
It's the 1 week and 1 month, and generally, even after these pass, you might still get some random shit online, because as Ingmar very accurately said, once your GMC has been suspended, it's kind of flagged, and people will look and come back from time to time to make sure that you are still compliant.
Okay. Then question number 4. From Dennis, why I can't recreate a GMC and retry the application again? I have done it and several times and it worked. Andre, let me answer it and you can check whether I listened carefully. So I guess that you understood the slide incorrectly. Like on the slide, we did like the red highlighting of the wrong, basically, of the misconception of the myth. So on the slides, the title is basically the wrong understanding that most people have, and the content basically states that this is the misconception. The truth is, yes, you can delete and recreate merchant centers, and this is one of the quickest way to basically skip the cooldown period, and it's a very effective means of speeding up the unblocking process. So I guess it's just the slide layout. Maybe we could have improved that one. One more question. Okay, now the probation period question comes in. Did I understand correctly that the probation period is roughly 1 month? What would happen on repeat offenses?
Well, what happens often is that, for example, we modify the design of the site a bit, and like, for example, put your store address in the footer and stuff like that. And if people just go ahead and remove that for whatever reason they deem it necessary, and the check occurs again, the account can get suspended. Again, there's no, I don't know, penalty or something for having a repeated offense, because again, you can simply delete the account and create it again. So the only issue is that your account will be down again and you're unable to run the ads again. But it's not like a yellow and red card like in football.
Cool. Okay. Any more questions? Just drop your questions in the comment section. And in the meantime, I will just ask Andre, because I also have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So just some war stories, right? So what was the most desperate case of a seemingly unblockable merchant center that you were able to unblock? What did you do? How much work was it? Do you have some story there? Or otherwise I can move to the next question if not.
Do you have 2 hours? Okay, so there are cases that are walking apart, like you just do the basic things, and the account gets approved, everybody's happy. But there are cases where you go through 3 or 4 accounts, and you're not really sure what the issue was. So sometimes it's really stupid. For example, with one website, in the footer, basically on the site, they used that at first they had the trade name, which was the name of the store, and then they had their LLC name and the address. What we did is that we've actually removed the trade name, and we said, okay, so this is like store A by LLC, by Andre's LLC, and by this change alone, because I know that was it, because I didn't change anything else prior to this review, suddenly the account started working. Like This seems a bit extreme, but yeah, it's probably the most absurd one.
Okay, wow, interesting. One question that came in, or two questions. How much time does it usually take
Yeah.
to get an account back after being suspended from misrepresentation? Like, how long does it roughly take?
Okay, our average is 1 to 3 weeks. Some are
Okay,
very
that's
fast,
nice.
some take a bit long.
Do you have like, that's your average and your pros? Do you have like any gut feeling how long a non-pro takes? Probably some time until infinite, because you might never be able to do it, or
That
what do you
yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah. Okay, that rate, I think it heavily depends on the luck, because the what I like to tell people is that what we do is not science, because you with science you need to have exact numbers, exact regulations. So what we do is more of an art. We know that if we do certain things, there's a high chance it's going to work. But sometimes, even if you do everything right, the account still won't get through. And on the other hand, like a really ugly crap site, which isn't really even meeting what we think it should be meeting, it just sails through and in the sunset, and never gets suspended again. So it's very annoying that Google is inconsistent, but that's how it is.
Okay, then one more question. You see it in the comment section, on the chat section yourself. So I saw at your website that you have a 70% success rate. What are about the other 30%? Are they non-fixable?
Sure. Okay. So sometimes what happens is that people simply get annoyed, so they just quit and they say, okay, we're just not gonna run shopping ads. Goodbye.
Ah,
Those are a bit frustrating because we've already put in the effort and we've kind of made a deal that we're gonna fix it for them, and they pay for us. So the effort goes down the toilet. So that's unfortunate. And there have been rare cases when we simply didn't know what to do anymore. But to be completely open, that was before we discovered that there's a third avenue which Google looks into, and that's the website speed and technical health. And ever since we've discovered that, we never failed. Like sometimes it
okay.
takes a long time, but I think that was the missing component.
Ah, that's nice. I mean, I don't know the exact details, but if you're now on a 100% success rate, you might update the information on your website.
Mm,
But
it's too soon. I don't want to set the expectations too
yeah,
high.
you're right. I mean, 100% transparency and honesty, I think, is the most important part.
Yeah.
Next question. My understanding is that in PMax, you can change the MC account after a campaign has been created. This means that creating a new MC account would mean that we need to create new campaigns linked to the new merchant center. Can we expect a new learning phase and loss of history, or is there any workaround to this from Teresa?
That is an excellent question. So, as I mentioned, not only are we into the GMC and suspension business, but we also manage Google Ads accounts. So I'm acutely aware of this. It's quite correct that you cannot link the new GMC to the old campaign, and so it would seem that it's a bad idea to actually go ahead and delete the GMC with the data and the history and create a new one. But what usually happens quite often is that the original GMC that got suspended, it's nigh unfixable. Like even if you do everything right, we just won't let you through. But if you go ahead, delete it, and create a new one, you're through like this. So people are often faced with the choice that okay, they have a GMC with data history, which will never run again, so they will never be able to run shopping ads again, or they make a sacrifice and they'll be able to run again, but they'll have to, as the user said, they will have to like restart the process. However, since we are intimately familiar with both sides of the barricade, we have come up with a bit of a workaround. If you look into the old campaign, you'll see the IDs that were performing the best, and the IDs in the Shopify obviously stay the same. So when you restart your campaigns, you'll actually start with two. In the first one, you'll have the top performance, and with those, you'll get higher budgets and so forth. And usually, they indeed do pick up, and they start delivering quite fast. And then you have your standard campaign for the rest of the products.
Cool. Thank you. And Jana, sorry for getting your name wrong. I was in the comment section here, and I read Teresa question was from Jana. Any more questions? We still have some time left. Make sure to ask them. I will just ask in the meantime a question. How many retries, like deleting and recreating merchant centers, make sense at max, if at all?
Okay. This is again a thing some clients struggle with, because if one review fails, they're like, okay, let's call it blah blah blah. Generally, reviews are quite meaningless. You have unlimited reviews at your disposal, because you can use the recreation of the accounts to get around cooldown periods. So sometimes people treat these GMC reviews like if they were to appear in front of a judge, like everything needs to be top notch and whatnot. And what we do instead is that we do some basic round of changes to see if it works. Okay, it didn't. Then we do more advanced changes. Okay, it didn't. New account, support. So that's why we usually go through like 4 to 5 accounts, meaning 8 to 10 reviews, before we actually get worried. Like
okay. Okay, that's a good like ballpark figure. And regarding technical issues, right? You were talking about site speed, stuff like this, reachability. Does the homepage design or structure play a role in the suspension or appeal process?
This could be number 6 in the list, because it doesn't at all. What you need to make sure is that your homepage is working. Like you have the menu, and if you have some links or something, it works, and there are no bizarre images, so general stuff. But it doesn't matter one bit whether you have lifestyle pictures, or if you have some products there or stuff like that. What's a bit triggering are the obviously fake reviews. Again, certainly that's the dropshippers, because they love to use those. So that's usually one of the red flags. But other than that, nope. Can do whatever, however you like.
Thank you. So no extra questions came in. So I would come to the conclusion of today's webinar. One thing that I want to mention with regard to the slides in the misconceptions / myth section, the red highlighted word is what is wrong, right? So basically the title is the myth that is just wrong, and the description you find the truth, that you don't get confused by this. So thank you for watching. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you, Andre. I'm looking down because that's where I see you. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you for having me.
We hope you were all really able to take massive value out of the session. And I really hope that it helps you right now with suspended merchant centers, or that it will help you in the future, or that it will help you prevent, or that you will reach out to Andre if you have a problem, so that this nasty topic is just off your shelf, right? And if you got teased a little bit by the white label CSS solution, just make sure to reach out to adstrong or to me. And as a thank you from our side, if you have any questions, obviously about anything you heard today, or have any complex or confidential related topics that you would like to discuss that are not the right spot here, the open question in the webinar, just send Andre or me an email or a LinkedIn message directly. Wait, I go to the next slide with the contact information. So send us an email or LinkedIn message directly, and we can jump on a call with you, because we can talk about this stuff all day, any day. So that was it today. We wish you an incredible and successful time. Stay healthy. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.